I'm Howie Scarborough. I'm the CEO of Fall Protection Distributors, and we've recently written a blog on the website. It's about custom-built metals. They have several standing seam profiles, and we're talking about compatible fall protection that is safe to be used on their panel systems to protect the workers and the roof systems at the same time. There's certain specialized fall protection equipment that doesn't crush the seams, it doesn't penetrate the panels, and those are the products we want to talk about. So if you drop down through this blog, you'll see we go into each of their different panels in detail. We give you drawings of each panel, so it's very easy to identify which panels you have by the dimensions and the shape of the seam. There's a nail strip style panel. So down here at the bottom, one thing I want to point out is they do a batten style. It's a cap. So you can get a wide or a narrow cap. Neither one of these, you don't want to attach any kind of seam mounted equipment to these types of seams from any manufacturer, because any set screws or anything you try to squeeze onto this, all it's going to do is just crush this box seam here. On the narrow batten seams, while you can get the set screws to tighten up on this, these are secured to the vertical legs of the panel, usually with just some rivets. And if those ever sheared, these would just slide right down the seams along with your fall protection anchors and your workers. So you want to avoid ever attaching any type of set screw or fall protection anchor to any kind of batten cap at all. But down here at the bottom of our article, you'll see a quick reference, and that is going to show the different panels across the top. As you can see, everything's pretty compatible except those batten covers. We want to avoid those with our seam mounted equipment, but I do have an alternative product we're going to talk about for that. So starting with the SSRA1 anchors. This is a single worker tie-off anchor. It uses 12 non-penetrating set screws. This is going to fit about 95% of today's standing seam panels. This locks onto the seam with, if you're on our standard configuration, which is a cup tip set screw, that's going to fit about 95% of today's standing seam panels in 22 gauge steel. So that's for the heavier 22 gauge steel. On the nylon tip version, so everything's the same other than it's just a different set screw that you put into the anchor. With the nylon tip set screws, it's just a nylon bushing in the tip. You use a little bit more torque. Instead of 90 inch-pounds, you go to 180 to 200 inch-pounds. And this is intended for 24 gauge steel. So it gives you a good bite on the panel without being too aggressive. So once you have those in place, you can get into the adapter plate. So if you're on a situation on a steeper roof and you need some stable footing, a nice level area to stand on to paint or whatever you're doing, you can add the SSRA2 roof jack adapters. So the D-ring on top of the SSRA1 anchor is removable. And you would mount two of those anchors about 8 feet apart on seams, remove the D-rings, and then you would set a pair of SSRA2 roof jack adapters on top. There's 2 bolts that lock them in place, and these are both seam height adjustable as well as roof pitch adjustable. And they're padded on the bottom, so anything that touches the metal panels is padded. And that's going to give you the ability to put a 10-foot wooden walkboard up on that standing seam roof with no penetrations. If you need to have a lot more freedom of movement, you can take 2 of the SSRA1 anchors, mount them on parallel seams, remove the D-rings, and you can drop an SSRA3 anchor plate on, lock it on top of the anchors. It has its own D-ring on top. And you could put one of those assemblies at each end of a 100-foot horizontal lifeline. This would be a temporary 2-person horizontal lifeline. If you want to put a permanent lifeline up there, what you can do is, if you'll jump on our website, we have a 120-foot super anchor permanent horizontal lifeline kit. That's with riser posts. So that's intended for standing seam roofs. It's got clamps. It's non-penetrating. 5-inch riser post, 120 foot of galvanized steel cable. That's a permanent horizontal lifeline setup. Now, if you're on a roof and you don't have any of this equipment available, or you're on a roof that, let's say, instead of steel, it's aluminum or copper, one of these softer materials, as long as it's 612 to 1212, even a shingle roof would be fine. You can look into using the Ridge Pro. So the Ridge Pro is a very versatile anchor. What it allows you to do is it's kind of like a ladder hook without the ladder. So it mounts on the end of a pole instead of a ladder. So you mount it on a 16-foot telescoping pole. You climb up a ladder. You run up the roof, flip it 180 degrees, it locks over the peak. And when it goes up the roof, it brings a vertical lifeline with it. So now you've got a vertical lifeline secured to the peak of the roof. And it's already attached to your harness. So once you step from the ladder to the roof, you're already tied off. So you can do your inspection, do your repair. The insurance inspection guys love this. The gutter guys love this. Christmas light installers, they buy these things like crazies. And then once you get back to your ladder, you're tied off the whole time. Once you're back safely to the ladder, you release it remotely with the pole. So Ridge Pro is a great product. If you have any questions about any of these products or any of these panels that we talked about today, give us a call. Our phone number's on the website. You can email us at support@fallpd.com. And this little blue circle in the bottom right corner of the website, that's our live chat. Just let us know how we can help you.